I asked Philly this. I just happened to grab my phone last night. It was about 8 o'clock, 8:30, somewhere in there. I just wanted to see what games were on. Got Maddie to bed, sitting down, like, let's see what's on. See if there's a close game out there worth watching. The end of the first quarter, Boston 46, Brooklyn 16. 46-16.
If by chance you sat down to watch the NC State Florida State basketball game, all right, midway through the first half, it was 27-4.
Oh my God. And then the ESPN chased it with this Knicks Phoenix game that's a 30-point game. Nice doubleheader for ESPN.
Hey.
It's all right. You know what I watched the end of? Xavier Providence. That's my conference. Big East basketball, baby.
I know it is.
6:30.
Even if you go overtime, we're done by 10-9.
Right.
Tell you what, besides the Big 12, if you could pick one team outside the Big 12 to watch their games, Providence. They play hard. They play good, close games all the time. And Cooley is a nut on the sidelines, and I love him.
Yes. Big win for the Gators last night.
Huge win. Got 9 left. I am interested in the Foreman movie, Paul. I am. I'm always interested, first off, how close to reality are the movies? I remember where I was when he knocked out Michael Moore. See, that's when being the heavyweight champion of the world was significant. We were still paying attention to boxing in the mid-90s. Most underrated trilogy of all time was Bo Holyfield. Those were
made-for-TV movie, the George Foreman movie is?
No, I thought it's a movie. It's on ABC? Oh, okay. I thought it was a movie.
Okay, there you. Well, you just typed ABC. You're all over the place, Paul.
Good morning, AJC. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like Ali Frazier in Manila was closed circuit, but the very next week you saw the fight 4:30 in the afternoon on Wide World of Sports.
That's how I saw a lot of those, like Leonard Duran fights and stuff like that, would be the next week on ABC.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was obviously too young to be going to see pay-per-views. All right, let's just hope Aaron Rodgers doesn't retire today at 8:14.
I don't know if he makes the cut. I mean, there's very few people who could do things to make us do what we did yesterday.
And I'm not going to lie. I was a lot hungover yesterday. I had not felt that badly in a long time.
And you were hungry.
That extra hour killed me. My headache just got worse, and went home, had something to eat. It didn't work. It was too late.
Yeah.
Had to take a little nap. Yeah, I was playing guilty yesterday. I admit it.
Mark, that PA announcer telling people to shut up for the play, right?
Yeah. So we could do a segment on it if we want. It's your call, David.
Yeah. How about 7:21?
There we go.
All right. 1 minute. 15 seconds. Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How's your week going? Anything big happen this week? How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. What do we got? The little guy did big story today. You know, the little guy, doesn't he waddle out?
Oh, yeah. Puxatawny Phil there, huh?
Right.
Right.
Uh-huh. That's
Today on 1AB.
I'm
One
sorry,
day
what?
after Brady.
The sports world after Tom Brady. Will it survive? We'll have a roundtable coming up. I am laughing at the state of the quarterbacks in the NFC, though. You know, fully expecting Aaron Rodgers to end up in the AFC. I mean, I honestly don't know. Mark, you and I are old enough in which we had decades in which, like, the AFC was dominant in the 70s. You know, really, the Cowboys were the only team that could beat whoever was dominating the AFC in the 70s. But it was usually Dolphins, Steelers, Raiders. You know, that was the 70s, basically. Every now and then, the Cowboys raised their hand. You know, Minnesota and the Rams, they were cute. They couldn't beat the elite AFC teams. In the 80s, it was the NFC. I mean, Niners, Washington, Giants, the Bears had the one historic team. But, you know, the top teams in the AFC could not beat the big boys in the NFC. So we had a 20-year period of time in the NFL where conferences had the run over the other. But there were elite quarterbacks still in the quote-unquote inferior conference. Staubach, Tarkington, you know, in the 70s on the two best NFC teams. You know, you went in the AFC in the 80s, and obviously you had Marino and you had Kelly. You had quarterbacks. We are about to begin life in which the disparity at the quarterback position, one conference to the other, will probably be the greatest disparity that we can recall. I mean, I don't think the NFL in the 60s had a disparity at the quarterback position because the AFL had LaMonica and it had Hadel and it had Dawson. I mean, this will be staggering.
Well, and David, to further your point, if you look at the draft order, and we think Chicago, they may trade it, but of the teams that need quarterback, Houston and Indianapolis are up there very high on the list. What conference are they in? So I don't know if Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud or Levitt or any of these guys are going to be great quarterbacks. I have no idea yet. But the odds are a couple of them are going where? To AFC teams.
We fully expect, I mean, Houston at 2, we fully expect them to take a quarterback. And the expectation is Chicago at 1 and Arizona at 3 are not going to take quarterbacks. They've got Justin Fields and Kyler Murray. So the expectation is Chicago is going to trade out, and probably with Indianapolis, considering the Colts are on the record as saying, quote, we will do whatever it takes to take a quarterback. Oh, okay. We'll just keep upping the ante until we eventually say yes. And if you're Chicago, why would you fall back to 5 in Seattle when you can fall back to 4 in Indianapolis? So you're right. I mean, if Young and Stroud are players, where are they likely to go? Also to the AFC. Which is why, all right, if I'm in the NFC, I mean, is there a quarterback that's going to be out there this year? Like, could Derek Carr in the NFC be the second best quarterback in the conference? I mean, a bad team is throwing him on the scrap heap of life, but on this side of the ledger, could he be really good?
Here's the question I have for you to rebut your comment on Derek Carr. If Derek Carr is the second best quarterback in the conference, who are you saying is the best quarterback in the conference?
Well, I mean, right now, I want to show a little respect
Say it.
to the guy who's in the Super Bowl.
There we go. So he's going to jump behind Hurts.
Well, right now,
Right.
it's
Jump
just,
behind Hurts. That's how little we think of Kirk Cousins, by the way.
well, that's why I said, could he be the second?
I know.
Because remember, okay, now that the Vikings coming off this 13-4 season, I think it was, I mean, they might get some primetime games next year, Mark. Well, that's his kryptonite. He can't play after dark. So, I mean, it's a good thing he didn't play in the Pac-12. That's all I got to say. Or else he never would have been drafted. He would have had a horrible college career, and we probably wouldn't have seen him in the pros.
It's a really good. No one ever thought about that. We do the Rich Rod a lot on this show.
Right. 6 degrees of separation in Kirk Cousins. Oh, boy. So, yes, life after TB12. Here's the question that I have been thinking a lot about. How many of you want to see Brady in the booth? Like, how many of you actually are, I love Tom, or I respect the heck out of Tom, or he's great, but I could use a break. Like, Felipe's never known the National Football League to not involve Tom Brady as a huge figure in the game. Well, I mean, if he goes straight to the broadcast booth for Fox, I mean, they got the number 1 rated package. I mean, you're going to see and listen to Tom Brady more than you're going to see and listen to any other announcer. I know you can't get Tony Romo out of your head. I get it. I need some time too. I may need a multi-step program. I may need a retreat to get the Romo and the playoffs out of my head too. I get it. All right. But once that happens, sometimes in, I don't know, May, then, do you even want to hear Brady? Do you still want him to be a part of the NFL, or do you like, I got to admit, Tom, could you take a gap year? Could you and your buddies,
travel to Europe for a couple of months during football season for us?
Come on, you got 2 teenagers and a young daughter. I mean, just to chill out, be a soccer dad, hang with Beckham. All right, just to take a year at least.
A gap year.
Just. I mean, the contract's apparently just sitting there waiting for you. It's in the drawer. Both parties have signed it. The only part that's, left to be determined is the start date. So,
which apparently will not be the Super Bowl.
Apparently, although I
mean, 2 weeks is a lot of time to put him in the coverage. I mean, he's not part of our coverage. Well, change your damn coverage.
Why? And if he doesn't want to be, this is when you get to call him up and go, so $375 million is not enough to get you to Phoenix on the 12th? Really? What, you need a little something for the effort? What? I mean, don't tell me you've already planned like a Super Bowl party. Come on, Tom. We know how competitive you were. You were thinking you were going to be in the game. So I know you don't have one planned. What are you doing? What? You buying some Super Bowl squares, are you, for the first time? Come on.
Are you having a Super Bowl party?
But I'm curious, because he did, I would say, I had no interest, and I'm still on the record as saying he's not going to broadcast. And it looks like I'm going to be wrong, and that's fine. I mean, I've made a living out of it. But I was not interested in him in the booth at all until he said, if I do it, I'll probably be more like Johnny Miller than anybody else. And I went, oh, really? And so I found that interesting that Tom was basically going to be willing to go more negative than anyone else at his position. Because that was Johnny Miller. Obviously very knowledgeable and all that, but Johnny, when he did golf, was willing to go, well, this guy's just throwing up all over himself here. He's joking. And the golfers lost their mind.
But Tom's older, so it doesn't have the ties with the league that a guy like Romo may have had retiring when he did.
Well, you could argue that. The other thing you could argue, though, is he was just in the league 12 minutes ago. So, but then again, some people don't like that style. I mean, there are a lot of people who didn't like Johnny Miller on golf. You know, I happen to like a critical announcer. I don't think we're there to make friends. I do think there's an entertainment value to a broadcaster. But I do think it's important to level with the audience and tell them the truth. Coaching matters. Sometimes coaches make mistakes. Sometimes players just flat screw up. Sometimes players are collapsing under the pressure. Like the golf tournament took place last week. Like Sam Ryder didn't choke. I mean, seriously? Guy played great for 65 holes. And then, you know, played like a 12 handicapper down the stretch. Seriously? Like he didn't choke that tournament away. He's 13 under par early on the back nine. He finishes 8 under.
There's no other word for it.
I mean, come on. So what are we supposed to do? Just say a couple of tee shots got away from him?
This course is really tough, even though everybody else is making birdies all over the place.
I was going to say, Max Homa's knocking everything stiff. Okay, but this guy, you know, he needs a ball finder. So I'm just curious. I mean, do people want Brady in the booth? Or are they like, God, I love him, but, you know, I could use a gap year.
Sounds like a poll question.
If we did those things.
We can. We have the ability.
You say the word. I mean, I'm here.
Well, usually we see whether or not the question is inspiring enough to move you into action. See, we don't tell you to do poll questions anymore. We just throw them out there and see whether or not it grabs you and inspires you to greatness. And when it doesn't sound like it's doing that, it sounds like it's intriguing you, but let's sit back in my chair.
At the end of the day, it's a maybe so, David. Miller and Moulton, thank you so much for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, Only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
David, Willie Nelson's nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What in the hell is going on?
Give me Willie Nelson songs. I don't know who that is.
He's a country artist.
Oh.
The only one that you would know is he and Snoop did a song, Roll Me Up and Smoke Me When I'm Gone. Willie Nelson's an 80-year-old stoner country music icon.
Is most of country music not kind of a little bit like rock?
No.
Though? I mean, yeah,
It's
rock
clearly not. Country music has its own Hall of Fame, of which Willie Nelson was long in.
Well, there's rappers in the
I understand that. And that's as bad as the pop artists that are in there.
By the way, Willie Nelson is 3 months away from 90.
Okay.
Read a fascinating article last night. A guy, because yesterday was Bettman's 30th anniversary on the job, February 1st in 93. And a guy wrote an article that said, everybody is going to, well, first off, he said it's undeniable he's actually been the most significant figure in the game's history from a commissioner's standpoint with all that's gone on. But he said, I don't want to grade Bettman on what he's done. I'd like to talk about what could have been. And so he wrote a piece with his opinion about, going back to the very beginning and just, where the league could have gone, and that everybody wants to talk about record revenue. Well, name a league right now that doesn't have record revenue. The sports world's exploded. You've had incompetent commissioners have record revenue. And I found it interesting. And this guy basically is like, I don't think the NHL's been really well served by Bettman.
Has Major League Baseball had record revenue?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, every sport. Like he said 30 years ago, hockey was a niche sport. And actually, in the first year or so of Bettman's commissionership, the Rangers were threatening to make it, mainstream. Sports Illustrated had the cover, hockey's cool, NBA is not.
That was an actual cover?
Oh, yeah. Jordan had retired. The Rangers had won the Stanley Cup. The NHL was cool. The NBA was not.
Then they decided to have a lockout.
Exact for 4 months.
No way.
Right after the Rangers won the Cup.
Oh, you gotta be. Right after that freaking headline came out? Or the magazine?
Pretty much. Shortly after.
Oh, my goodness. Then a guy named LeBron James joined the league.
Oh.
Yeah. Which retirement? My bad. Which Jordan?
No. We're talking 94.
Oh, that's right.
30 years.
My bad.
With Bettman. So anyway, it was an interesting piece. And he talked about where things are between the players and the league right now and that it's not good. Okay.
Yeah, where was the Athletic?
I think, he talked about how goals are down a goal a game compared to what they were when he took over as commissioner, even though they're up in the last 5 years. But that, with as much skill as there is in the game and how the guy talked about, everybody talks about the product is better. Well, the talent's better, but there's also no checking. anymore.
None.
Right. And he said, so is it really better? He goes, and do we want to talk about the 3-on-3 overtime and the loser point?
Ten seconds.
10:01, Guillermo. 10:01.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Mark, something happened yesterday that is just a combination of everything that I love and everything that you hate. And so I feel compelled to bring it up.
Okay. I
'Cause I
feel
wanna
like I'm being set up here, but that's all right.
As a matter of fact, you are. Okay, between Miller and Moulton, which one loves the Hall of Fames?
Well, that would be Moulton.
Right. And between Miller and Moulton, which one absolutely hates the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame more than any other?
Hate's a strong word, but Miller despises some of the people that are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That they don't despise the acts, despise that they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Is it fair to say that Miller, gets more angst from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame every year than any of the other halls of fame?
There's not a doubt about that.
Okay, so we have established that Moulton loves halls of fame, Miller not so much, and nothing causes Miller more angst than the nominees for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which came out yesterday.
I know.
Now, first
Had
off,
to do this, didn't you? Just
Well,
thought, you know what'll be fun? Let's see how irritated we can get Miller early in the morning.
well, see, yesterday you were hungover. Okay, so I'm trying to see what, how you're doing today. Did you get a good night's sleep? Did you have a hearty breakfast? Because, you sometimes we both get a little weak as the show goes on.
It's true.
That's all I'm saying.
I feel strong right now, David.
Okay. So here we go. All right. First off, hey, Iron Maiden.
They've been on it a few times, should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
You think? I mean, hello? What's going on here? Is Iron Maiden Dale Murphy? I mean, who's Iron Maiden?
Ooh.
Kurt
I don't think
Schilling?
it's Dale Murphy because they're going to get in.
Kurt Schilling? Is Iron Maiden Kurt Schilling? Kurt Schilling's left out because of politics.
Might be more of Blylevin. He's going to get in. They're going to get in eventually, but for whatever reason, they're taking their own sweet damn time.
Man, they did with Bert Be Home by 11. They did. Okay. I have to admit, I did not realize how spectacular Sheryl Crow was until I saw a Sheryl Crow documentary a few weeks ago. Wow. You know how sometimes you just don't fully realize, wait a minute, you did that? And wait, you did that? Wait, that was you too? Oh my goodness. I'm like, wow. This is a legendary person here.
Yes.
Where did I miss this?
Yes. Actually saw her in concert once. She opened for Chris Stapleton, maybe? But she's terrific. You know every song she sings.
Yes. And we're an hour and a half in and you're like, oh, well, yeah, I remember
Kind
that.
of a female petty that all of a sudden it's like, yep, that one, that's another one. Oh yeah, that's another one. Absolutely.
But then, we get to, you got A Tribe Called Quest.
Love
Missy,
Tribe. Love Tribe Called Quest.
Missy
But they're-
Elliott.
Yeah, they're both hip hop artists.
Right. So George Michael.
It's a pop artist.
once again, do we have to explain? There's the Country Music Hall of Fame, and then there's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame puts in every genre that's not country. That's what they do. Which, however, doesn't explain why Willie Nelson is nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
It makes absolutely no sense. And who doesn't love Willie?
Right. Now, the Ganja Hall of Fame? Just Lifetime Achievement Award, baby.
Absolutely.
They should have handed it out 30 years ago. I mean, have Snoop as the presenter going, I got nothing on this guy.
They could sing their little song together and call it a day. It'd be perfect.
Totally. Bring the house down. Great final 10, 15 minutes. He turns 90, by the way, in less than 3 months, Willie Nelson. 90. What? I mean, come on, let's be honest. What was the over-under on Willie Nelson? 67? Seriously. I mean, my goodness.
What's funny is that the early Willie Nelson break into the country scene, he's in a coat and tie, short, tight, clean cut back in the 60s. And then all of a sudden, he and Waylon, found some things and did some things, and they got cool. Very cool.
So, I mean, on it, Willie Nelson, Keith Richards, really, which over-under are you more shocked by? I think it's Keith, but Willie's in the area code. So, which one are you more outraged about, George Michael or Willie Nelson, in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Both, but Willie Nelson more so. I don't see how. I mean, because I get that they put pop artists in. I don't like it, but they do. I don't understand why Willie Nelson would be nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I don't. Country Music Hall of Fame, of course.
Kate Bush?
Don't think of her as a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. Surprised that she's nominated.
Cyndi Lauper?
Another one that's, great pop artist.
Well, but once again, we don't.
But I don't think she's a great enough pop artist to even be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You know what I mean?
Okay.
She's fine. She had a couple of hits. She had like 4 hits. That's a Hall of Fame career? Are you kidding me?
Okay. You know how sometimes we have the Veterans Committee in baseball and the guys that we think should be in, and we're disappointed that they didn't get, more consideration, whether it's Lou Whitaker or Don Mattingly or Keith Hernandez or, guys who have come up here in recent weeks. How about Warren Zevon?
I think Warren Zevon will get in just for the reasons you described, because he is thought of in the music world very highly, very critically acclaimed.
Yep. So, but apparently, because I think, didn't Dolly go in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame last year?
Well, I think you're right.
And so, that shows you. Now, listen, Dolly Parton should be in every damn Hall of Fame imaginable. Her life is amazing. I know she keeps turning down. She's had multiple presidents that want to give her like the Presidential Medal of Freedom. I don't know what to say. By the way, it shows you how much stature she has that she just keeps saying to presidents, nah, and they keep going, oh, okay. I mean, these guys don't get a lot of people to say no. All right. And then I'm surprised one of them just hasn't said, Dolly, I don't know what to tell you. We're giving you the Presidential Medal of Freedom. It'll be on Tuesday, the 16th. We hope you show up. I mean, seriously. But so I was just wondering, Willie Nelson, George Michael, are you okay?
I'm hoping neither. I mean, if they're going to put 5 in, Sheryl Crow can go in. Iron Maiden can go in on this group. Rage Against the Machine should be in. I think Warren Zevon's going to go in, and Soundgarden should go in. That's 5. If they want to put Joy Division New Order in it, I've got no problem with that. They're influential in their style of music, and they do that from time to time.
By the way, you know who nominated Warren Zevon this year? Billy Joel. Zevon's been dead 20 years.
He did Letterman when he was really sick.
Yes. Died within like 3 weeks, I believe. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I think that Zevon gets in. because of the reasons you described, the fact that who nominated him, and critically, he is beloved by musicians.
So, that went better than I thought. I thought I was going to create a little bit more angst. I thought I was going to, derail you for the rest of the hour. And it seems as if you made it through okay.
I've finally been able to come to grips with the fact that they're going to put pop artists in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And when I did that mentally, it did wonders for me, David. The starting five coming up next.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, sandboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Is that
It's Pat Benatar.
Oh.
I did not know there was going to be sound. Thanks for listening. Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
that's good.
That's all you need.
Woo!
I just previewed the starting five, so we need to, if we're going to use that.
Wow.
Twitch chat, are there any beaches open?
Yeah, Naples.
Just Naples?
Nothing in Lee County's open.
Nothing in Lee. But Collier.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. What county is Port Charlotte in?
Charlotte.
Charlotte County. Yeah.
And they really don't have a lot of beaches.
Yeah,
A lot
they
more
don't.
barrier islands in the way that
Mhm. Yeah. They have that one island, the old Gasparilla Island.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Actually, Gasparilla, isn't that I think that's part of Lee County, believe it or not.
Really?
It's weird how the county lines are.
Yeah. I bet.
Oh, really, Racer? I did not know that.
Which Bunch Beach? What is that?
It's going towards Fort Myers or going towards Sanibel, if I'm not mistaken.
Fake Cape Coral beaches.
Oh no, that's the Bunch Beach is the Benito, like Estero, kind of by Lover's Key almost.
Oh.
No. I was right the first time.
Oh yeah, that's barefoot. Man, screw Ian. I miss the beach.
They'd like you at Bunch Beach, Philly.
Oh yeah? Why? Why is that? Oh, what?
Just having a little fun. Nothing I'm going to say over the air.
Oh God, I don't even want to know.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Thanks for waking up with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network. To join us coming up an hour from now, Roy Cummings, life officially after Tom Brady for the Tampa Bay Bucks. Still need an offensive coordinator besides a quarterback. $50 million over the cap. So we'll talk to Roy coming up in a little more than an hour. Right now it is time for
the starting five. And I do that because the computer completely crashed during that commercial break. And Felipe was up with arms and going, talk.
The starting five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the starting five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Fixed it.
I was going to say Vicky's voice got really deep there for a second. She really tied one on last night, didn't you, Vic? Hey, I don't know if anybody heard, but Tom Brady's retired, quote unquote, for good.
No.
Unquote. I will say, so his dad did an interview with a Boston, media outlet. And so Dad said, yeah, Tom let us know last week. Also, Brady had narrowed it down to Tampa Bay or retirement. He was either going back to the Bucs or he was done. Peter Schrager of NFL Network claims that video that Brady released yesterday was not recorded yesterday morning. That it was recorded either Monday or Tuesday morning. Now, Tuesday, he was in Hollywood for, the movie premiere, 80 for Brady, that sort of deal. And clearly, it looks to those of us in Florida as if he was in Florida when he recorded that video. The dunes behind him and what have you. So, just, for whatever that all means, just throwing it out there. Tua has finally been cleared for concussion protocol. Still not going to play in the flag football Pro Bowl, however. So we get Tyler Huntley instead. But make sure you watch it coming up this weekend on the ESPN family of networks.
80 for Brady or the Pro Bowl? What would you watch?
80 for Brady twice.
Now, is that a poll question?
Once again, okay? Do you find it interesting or does it move you? If it moves you, post it.
All right.
By the way, I have a nomination for a better poll question. All right, coming up next segment. Saints fired their co-defense coordinator, Chris Richard. Their other co-defense coordinator left them to go to Atlanta. So Dennis Allen, who's a defensive guy, okay, he's apparently wanting to reshape their defense. I don't know. Anybody think the Saints defense has been the problem?
Didn't seem like it was the problem last year to me.
No. It seemed, offensively, they seem awful.
Right.
Right.
Andy Dalton.
So that's, Dennis Allen, defensive guy, wanting to put his stamp on the defense. Okay. Remember Mike McCarthy, offensive guy, he's putting his stamp on the offense. He confirmed yesterday, yeah, I'm calling the plays.
More importantly, Jarrah confirmed that he's calling the plays.
Well, yeah. Jarrah, finally, it took Jarrah this long to be able to speak after the loss to the Niners. It took Jarrah almost a week and a half. Wow. Took it hard.
He really took this one rough.
I mean, an hour and a half for Jarrah not talking. It's a long time. A week and a half. Damn. Hall of Famer Bobby Beathard passed away yesterday from Alzheimer's at 86. Beathard was in the front office of the Dolphins. He was like number 2, I'd say. George Young was probably number 1. Beathard, number 2. Of course, everybody answered to Shula. But Beathard was part of the 72-73 front office for the Dolphins. Then he went to the Redskins. He was the one that hired Joe Gibbs. They won 3 Super Bowls. He was there for 2 of them. Then he went to San Diego. Mark, how many times have the Chargers been to the Super Bowl? I believe that's 1.
Right.
Yeah, he was their GM.
Okay.
Now, he did stay 1 year too long, even in a Hall of Fame career, because the second to last draft that he had, okay, he went all in on Ryan Leaf. Oh, well. Still a Hall of Famer. Bobby Beathard was 86. College football yesterday was the second National Letter of Intent Day. Rashada, the Gators quarterback, money fell through. Can you believe we're saying that, talking about college players? Well, he was going to Florida, but then the money fell through.
Couldn't get the contract done.
I mean, he ended up at Arizona State. That's where he signed yesterday. He's a West Coast kid. He's from California. Dad, I think, went there. Gators football did not have a good day yesterday. It was learned that offensive lineman Cameron Waits is going to be out indefinitely. He tore his Achilles. College hoops, meanwhile, was a great night for the Gators. They whooped up on number 2 Tennessee in the O-Dome, 67-54. They had a big first half lead. Then they trailed by 6 midway through the second half. And then Florida went on a 17-2 run. How about that? Gators are 13-9, 6-3 in the SEC.
It was a big, big win last night.
They got 9 games left. They'll probably be favored in 6 of them. They're at Alabama, at Arkansas, and they got a home and home with Kentucky amongst those 9. Mark, I think the Gators need to win 7 of them. 6-3 gets them,
put them right on the bubble.
Gets them to 19, and in theory, win a game in the SEC tournament. Maybe. I will say, if they win 6 of them, they'll go 12-6 in conference. That'd be pretty impressive.
I think that would get them in, by the way.
So the Gators last night, nobody really thinking about them, about going to the NCAA tournament. Last night could be the start of a tourney run. We'll see. Another day in the Big East. Another great game involving Providence. This time, though, the Friars lose at Xavier. Battle of top 20 teams in overtime, 85-83 Xavier. Top-ranked Purdue handled Penn State. Penn State's actually pretty solid. And that Penn State coach, by the way, is like being talked about for the Notre Dame job and a couple of other jobs. 80-60 Purdue by 20. South Florida beat East Carolina 71-63. So if you turned on the ACC network last night, mid-first half, NC State and Florida State, you were not having a stroke. Okay, your eyes did not deceive you. NC State led Florida State 10 minutes into the game, 27-4. That doesn't happen very often. Needless to say, NC State won comfortably by 28. Two other notes. Pitt swept North Carolina this year. They went into the Dean Dome there and beat the Tar Heels last night by 1. And Louisville got their first conference win of the year. And I think that means that our buddy Josh Pastner is going to be out of a job. He's like 1-11 in the ACC this year. And I think losing at Louisville is going to be the one in which they go, okay, we weren't thinking of firing you, but now we may have to. Women's basketball, UCF's home game against SMU was postponed. All that ice in Dallas. All sorts of flights and everything canceled, so that game couldn't happen. NBA, one game got postponed last night, Washington at Detroit because of the weather. 8 other ones took place. Sixers get some revenge against Orlando 105-94. Embiid with 28-11. Harden with 26-10. That's assists for Harden, rebounds for Embiid. We were talking about the NC State, Florida State start. Mark, did you see the Boston Celtics, Brooklyn Nets start?
Unfortunately, I did. It was 46-16 at the end of the first quarter.
There you go. Unfortunately, ESPN had to televise 3 more quarters.
Oof.
Oofta. 139-96. Celtics by 43. And the Warriors, Mark, trying to win 2 in a row on the road, blew an 11-point fourth quarter lead and lost to A-Rod's Timberwolves. 119-114 in overtime. Golden State scored 4 in the extra session. Hockey, they've reached the All-Star break. By the way, All-Star game going to be in Sunrise.
It is.
Yeah. Carolina beat Buffalo 5-1. And the Bruins, who were reeling, they had lost 3 straight. Toronto thought, maybe we can beat them. Get to within 9 points of them at the All-Star break. Who knows? Maybe we can make a run at them in the second half. Bruins went into Toronto last night and kicked them 5-2 and basically said, dude, please, just gear up to play Tampa in the first round of the playoffs, okay? PGA Tours at Pebble. There's hardly anybody playing in this thing anymore, Mark. Spieth's the headliner, and it's tough to make up a really sexy foursome. There's so few name tour players playing in this.
They hate this tournament. They do. They don't like playing in pro-ams.
What are you talking about? 6.5 hour rounds?
They despise this tournament.
Playing 3 different courses? What?
Right. And now they basically told them they don't have to go.
Well, yeah. I mean, what do you have to do? It like every 3-4 years you got to show up at every tournament? Is kind of what they want you to do. And they can't make you, but they kind of want you to. So Djokovic won the Australian last week, remember?
Right.
Turns out he had a tear in his hamstring. A tear. And apparently it happened before the Australian Open in one of the warm-up events. Now, it wasn't a huge tear. It was just a few centimeters, which is, I think, is like a couple inches. But still, a tear in his hamstring. He lost a set in 7 matches. Right. With a slightly torn hamstring. I think it was his left one. He wore the wrap throughout the whole tournament and what have you. So that's a tough dude. And somewhat talented. And finally, hey, listen, you need days like this if you're going to become a legit league in the sports world. And the WNBA had one of those days yesterday. They had major free agent signings, like the biggest one in the league's history. Breanna Stewart, we've all heard of her. She was a star at UConn and what have you. She left Seattle to sign with the New York franchise. Oh, okay. And Candace Parker left her hometown Chicago franchise to go to Vegas. And they won the title last year. So, I mean, let's face it, we all love free agency. I mean, that's what you need if you're going to be a league. If you're actually, ever going to be talked about, you got to have, whoa, wait a minute. So-and-so's leaving teams. Wait, so-and-so got more money. So WNBA had one of those days yesterday. And quite frankly, they've been around 25 years. And I don't know if they've ever had a day like that.
Not an off-season day.
No. And at 9 minutes before the hour, that was
the Starting Five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So I don't want to go down this road out of laziness. All right. But I would like us to go down a certain road because it's interesting. It involves Tom Brady. And I can already hear the groaning. Okay. But it's not about him necessarily. It's just using him to bring up a topic. Is that okay? I mean, are we allowed to talk about Tom Brady moving forward?
On 1AB? Of course. We're one day after Brady. We can still talk about Tom Brady on 1AB.
Okay, I didn't know. I didn't know. I mean, the news broke during the show yesterday. We got a very interesting, we got gut reactions yesterday. The news broke at 8:13. We then got an hour and 47 minutes of a few phone calls and a bunch of texts, Twitch chat room reactions in which people didn't hold back anymore. It was just boom, blurted out. Tom Brady retired. Your thoughts? Boom. And they threw it at us. And some of it was negative. Some of it was like, I'm done with this guy. I'm sick of him. So that's why I didn't know. Are we still allowed to mention him?
Absolutely. 100%. And
Okay.
for those that are sick of him, it won't last that long, and soon he'll be on Fox, and you'll be able to be sick of him there. But you're going to be spared the Super Bowl, apparently, because they're paying him all this money, and they have no plans to have him as part of the Super Bowl coverage package.
Well, he's arranged a party, I think. Tacos and tequila. Okay. He's inviting Beckham and his wife and, a few other billionaires nearby in Miami.
Got to get to that South Beach dating scene.
Apparently, according to, people close to Brady, he's not ready to date. He's not interested. All his friends are trying to set him up, Mark, and he's not interested. That's what I'm good for. Harry and Meghan and the Tom Brady dating scene. That's what we bring to you here on Miller and Moulton.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Was it Janikowski, the 2000 draft class? The last player to retire from it before Brady? And wasn't Janikowski like 3 years ago? There you go. Look at that. And how ironic. Seabass went in the first round. Brady went in the sixth. So why don't we do that thing you brought up?
The GOAT?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I know my answer.
30 seconds. Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network.com will join us coming up in a little more than 30 minutes time. Roy Cummings, 1 hour from now. Now that it's official, where do the Bucs go from here for a quarterback and, for that matter, for an offensive coordinator? They bring in somebody who's been there before back. We'll talk to Roy Cummings about that 1 hour from now.
Saw a tweet yesterday that I wanted to ask you the same basic question that this person asked of the Twitter audience. Because Brady's the GOAT in football. If we were to have a GOAT, period, one GOAT, all sports, one greatest of all time, David, where would you go?
Well, I would go very far back, and that would anger a lot of people. But the person that I would bring up is the case. If I went before the jury, okay, that this is the person that I would want to defend. If I'm going to lose, I want to lose saying Babe Ruth. Because for as great as Gretzky, for as great as Brady, for as great as Jordan, and that was, by the way, the question that I saw a lot of yesterday. If you take three players regarded as the GOATs in their sport, of the GOATs, which was the greatest, Brady, Jordan, or Gretzky? So if you just go there. But to me, right, I would go Babe Ruth, because what the sport was before Babe Ruth, Babe Ruth led the league in homers with 11 very early in his career.
Then he got the cream or the clear, and he started hitting the you-know-what out of the ball.
Right. Okay. And just 11. 2 years later, he hit 54. Just to give you an idea. I think at the time that Ruth became the all-time home run leader in baseball history, I don't think anyone had hit 200 homers. He hit 714. I don't think there's been an athlete to overwhelm their sport and take it to not just another level, but quite frankly, to 3 different levels. Oh, yeah, and he pitched. And he won nearly 100 games. And like Brady, he was a part of 7 world champions, 3 with the Red Sox, 4 with the Yankees. So believe it or not, but, Ruth hasn't played in 90 years. So that's not a very sexy answer. But so if you want to make it like post-World War II or, in the ESPN era or something like that, I'll give you a different answer. But believe it or not, Babe Ruth would be my answer. I don't think there's been an athlete dominate their sport from where it was before that person showed up to where it became when they were done, like Babe Ruth.
Out of the 3, Brady, Jordan, and Gretzky, this would be so hard for me because the numbers that Gretzky put up are ridiculous. He did things that no one had ever done in that sport. And while Brady has done it with accomplishments throughout his career, Gretzky has the championships, not 7, no one does, but are hardly very few do. I would probably lean Gretzky, but I'm a hockey guy.
Yeah, Gretzky was my answer to that poll question also. Like Mike Francesa, don't want to show a New York bias here, even though I grew up in Jersey and what have you. But Mike and the Mad Dog, a famous sports talk radio show, and Stephen A. Smith reunited them yesterday on his show. And it just so happened an hour and a half before they went on, Brady retired. So, that turns out to be a good day for them. So Mike Francesa said something that I thought was interesting, and that hasn't happened a lot in the last 10 years. Francesa said, listen, Brady wasn't the greatest regular season quarterback of all time. Peyton Manning was. And Brady wasn't the greatest Super Bowl quarterback of all time. Joe Montana was. Now, you can argue with both those statements, but there are some people that actually agreed with that. He goes, now, is he the GOAT? Yes. The winner? Yes. Francesa goes, he was trying to make the point that Brady is actually a fascinating case study. You cannot argue with the resume. He retires number one in every major passing stat. And oh, by the way, no player has more Super Bowl rings. And yet,
I don't know if anyone will end up with more Super Bowl rings than Tom Brady. Like, I think that's locked.
Well, and not only that, appearing in 10 Super Bowls, that's just shake your head, bat playing crazy. This is Mahomes' third, for some perspective here. But also, the one, and I'd have to do this off the top of my head, but I think he played in like 14 or 15 conference championship games. Like I'm trying to think of because obviously if you're in 10 Super Bowls, you're in 10 conference championship games. Well, he lost in 06. He lost 3 conference championship games to Peyton. Peyton beat him with the Colts in 06. He beat him with the Broncos in 13 and 15.
Didn't the Ravens got him once?
Flacco and the Ravens got him in 2012.
Right.
So he was at a minimum of 14 conference championship games. That's just staggering. But back to the argument. It is funny. Let's be honest. They're throwing the football. If Dan Marino and Tom Brady were throwing the ball around, who would you pick for your team?
Dan Marino.
Right. Brady, how many MVPs did Peyton win? 5? Something like that? Tom, all his greatness, 3. He has more Super Bowl MVPs than he has regular season MVPs. How ridiculous is that?
But as you said, and we equate everything to winning.
Mm-hmm.
No one thinks Bill Russell's the greatest basketball player that ever played. The best winner.
Brady is how like you have the black and white era of television, then you color TV. In sports, it's like the ESPN era and before ESPN. Brady's our Russell. Bill Russell, greatest winner of all time, the 11 world championships, the 2 NCAA championships and an Olympic gold medal. But Brady's our Russell.
100%.
But did he dominate his sport the way Jordan could dominate his sport? 63 in a playoff game. 6 for 6 in the finals. Gretzky, best player on a dynasty that won 4 cups in 5 years and took a franchise that, for all intents and purposes, didn't exist and took them to the finals and put them on the map. If it wasn't for him, that franchise would not be in business today. And there'd be about 6 other teams that wouldn't be in the NHL if it wasn't for him either. 212 points in a season. 212 points. There's no wrong answer when you ask that poll question, by the way. Of the GOATs, who's the greatest? Jordan, Brady, or Gretzky? There is no wrong answer. But you and I apparently would both have clicked on Gretzky.
We're getting a few people in the Twitch chat room and a few texters that are going with Ali.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. That's that ain't bad.
It's a good nominee.
That's just good, coming around the turn, on the outside. I'm going to, ride that horse. Okay. Pretty good horse. So, there's no wrong answer to these questions, but
Thought when you were going old school on me, I thought you were going to make a case for Ted Williams. I don't know why. In my head, before you did Ruth, I just had this feeling. I knew you were going old school. There was never a doubt in my mind to when you first started going to games. But I thought I thought it would be a little later on.
okay. Do you know Babe Ruth at 342? 342. I mean, Babe Ruth's batting average is higher than Tony Gwynn's. And he hit 714 home runs. I'm telling you, that's the case I want to present to the jury. Mark, there's a 14-year period of time in which he led baseball in slugging percentage 13 of the 14 years. Babe Ruth against the whole sport. I'll take Ruth. I mean, that's how amazing he was.
That batting average number is staggering.
I got one
because we knew all the big numbers.
Right.
That one's one that doesn't get spoken of.
Okay, now obviously they didn't have this stat when he played, so they had to retroactively figure it out. Care to take a guess at what Babe Ruth's WAR was?
111.
Higher.
142.
Higher. Remember, 70's a Hall of Famer. Just so you know, basically, if you post a 70, they're like, oh, well, that's a Hall of Famer. Mark just guessed 142 higher.
It's not 3 times 70. He's not over 200, is he?
No, he's not.
Okay, so let us have the number.
183. I mean, once again, when you start going down these roads, there is no wrong answer. But for what it's worth, he was voted pre-SportsCenter. He was voted the greatest athlete of the first half of the 20th century. And then remember, ESPN did the greatest athletes of the 20th century. And I believe Ruth came in third. I believe it was Ali, Jordan, or it might have been Ali, Ruth, Jordan, Jim Brown. He came in second or third. They voted Ali number one.
And you brought up Jim Brown, that I would think a lot of people driving around this morning shouted that name out when the all-time GOAT came up. 21,000's the text line. Love to hear from you today on what your thoughts on the greatest of all time is. All sports on 1AB. That's one after Brady.
I hope nobody takes offense to that because that's pretty solid.
If they do, 21,000, and you can let me know how I offended you, and I'll be sure to respond.
Yeah, just add it to the list, right? What the heck? Like Fort Gator in our Twitch chat room said Michael Phelps. Got to admit, yeah, kind of the Babe Ruth of swimming. You're onto something. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Play is ready. Play's ready, Mark.
Okay. Tim Reynolds had a funny tweet this morning. Christy Brinkley turned 69 today. Groundhog's Day. Groundhog's Day is the best movie ever made. The Heat will score their 300,000th point tonight. Number 199 draft pick Tom Brady remains retired, and we're now just 199 years away from 2-2-22-22. Happy Thursday, everyone. He doesn't do interviews, does he? Reynolds.
Who?
Tim Reynolds. We've tried to get him on, and he said no, right?
No, he said he will not do sports radio. He said he's done it before. He said that basically he's had a couple of bad experiences, you know, kind of the host taking what he's written and going down a path, or then after the fact he'll do an interview and then he'll, you know, and then the host will rip him after they're done with them. And
15 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Dalton Miller, profootballnetwork.com, joining us coming up in a little more than 15 minutes. Roy Cummings to join us coming up at the top of the hour. We think we've kind of summed up how it is we'd like to frame the whole life after Tom Brady discussion today. Mark, I thought you summed it up pretty well last segment.
With who the GOAT is of all time?
Yeah, the GOAT of GOATs type deal. It just is, and there's no wrong answer. We all have our, like my mom just texted me Jim Thorpe.
Seen that one in the Twitch chat room. Someone on the text line did send in Dale Earnhardt, which I always love the gearhead just coming in the show saying, damn it,
there you go.
The GOAT's Dale.
There you
All
go.
right.
Damn it.
That's it. We're done.
Hey, Richard Petty, 200 wins. Second closest is 105. Make your case, Jimbo. Make your case. So, by the way, Johnny Yo in our Twitch chat room said Brady should have retired today. Then, Brady's retirement would have been on Groundhog Day. See?
I thought the fact that he actually, and I didn't realize until I had to look it up, it was a year to the date that he retired the first time.
I know. Is that ironic or is that planned? He doesn't seem to be a very ironic guy.
Everything seems to be planned in his world.
I will say the social media people he hired once he got to Tampa were tremendous. Wonder how many of them he'll keep on staff, because his social media has been entertaining. It's been
Absolutely.
witty, and it's been self-deprecating too. So, but just, of the GOATs, who's your GOAT? Some people are asking if Brady's the best quarterback, who's number two, but, just of the GOATs. If we're going GOATs, who's the greatest GOAT? There are no wrong answers. Knock yourself out. 21,000 is the text line, 21000. This could be one of those things you've never texted us before, though, but you actually want to respond to this. So you got to type in the keyword FSN radio, send that to 21,000, and, let us know.
There you have it. David made his case for Babe Ruth. David and I both picking Gretzky if we're going the colored television era, if you will.
Brady, Jordan, Gretzky. That's been a popular poll question from radio shows who midday yesterday and in the afternoon yesterday. And, you've got the, Brady just retired, so maybe he gets a few more votes than he otherwise normally would if we asked that question 3 months from now. And usually Gretzky finishes last of the three. I mean, Mark, I don't know if you looked at the results of some of these poll questions, but, I saw a lot of 40, 30, 30 yesterday between Brady, Jordan, and Gretzky.
No Ali from you guys, huh?
Well, we're doing team sports. It's hard with boxing.
That's fair.
I mean, I'll say this. If Tiger hadn't self-destructed physically and emotionally, if Tiger could have done what he did again, then he would have been on the Mount Rushmore of sports. And we thought at the age he was in 2000, when he was walking off the course at Torrey Pines, having won the U.S. Open on a broken leg in 2008, and he was at 14 majors and he was 32. We were looking around at one another going, damn, this guy's going to win 25. It's going to be crazy.
I have my answer for GOAT of GOATs, and
Go.
it's Lionel Messi.
Okay. Once again, I will say there's no wrong answer to this. First off, we're asking your opinion.
Right.
And then, we also get a feel as to what sport from everybody who answers means more.
I was actually surprised, Felipe. I thought you were going to be the first one to put LeBron out there because you're a LeBron over Jordan guy.
But here's the thing. I think that, again, this is going to sound like it doesn't make sense, but I think that Jordan is greater than LeBron, but LeBron is better at basketball than Michael Jordan. Because Jordan had a more impactful career than LeBron James did.
I have to admit, I need to lie down after that explanation. I do. I'm that reminds me of we're back in college and Felipe's the teacher and he threw that out at the beginning of the semester and we're going to spend all semester analyzing that statement.
Well, maybe there's a teaching course in your future.
Maybe I should just start a podcast. I'll just do that.
If you start there, whoo, man.
I think it's time to get to the play of the day with that one. And this is my nominee. I know what this is. This happened in Wisconsin. This happened at a high school basketball game where the fans started giving the referee a hard time. And the PA announcer in the game between Brookfield Central and Cedarburg did this.
I would like to take this opportunity to remind all fans, and I should have done this a lot earlier, shut up. The WIAA is always looking for officials, and since you do such a good job from the stands, get on the floor, wear a striped shirt, and do it yourselves.
That's right. That's right. The PA announcer told the crowd, I would like to take this opportunity to tell all fans, and I should have done this a lot earlier, shut up. The WIAA, which is the Wisconsin whatever athletic association, is always looking for officials, and since you do such a good job from the stands, get down on the floor in a striped shirt and do it yourselves. Since then, there's a Wisconsin organization, the National Association of Sports Officials, said, I haven't spoken with the PA announcer. I don't know the PA announcer personally, but I'm really going to commend him for doing that.
I have to admit, that's very un-Wisconsin-like. They're friendly in Wisconsin. I mean, unless you diss the Packers, they're a very friendly group of people.
That is our Clutch Vodka play of the day. That is Clutch with the K.
It's outstanding.
It really is. And it's our public service announcement to remind everybody that we need officials. We need them in basketball. We need them in baseball. We need them in football. We need them in hockey. We need them in soccer. And leave them alone. They get paid squat, and they don't really need to hear it from you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have spent many a commercial break the last 2 days trying to talk Felipe into being an official. He seems to want to coach. And we're not talking about a Division I program. He's just talking about, maybe coach some kids and what have you. And we're like, no. They need officials more than they need coaches. Come on, do the officiating thing.
One of my oldest friends in the world who was a really good high school basketball player, had the rebound record at his school, was a good player, played college football. And I didn't realize this. I've known him since we were in the 7th grade. I found out recently he's been doing high school basketball for 10 years. And he had a mouth when he played. In 7th grade, getting teed up mouth. And I'm like, how can you do this? How loose are you with the tees? He goes, some of them I'll give a little warning. Some of them I'll tell them that you're walking the line. And every once in a while, I got to give him the big T. And I'm like, that's fantastic.
And Felipe did tell us, okay, that, on his bucket list would be to tee someone up.
Yes. That is a dream of mine. I want to assess a technical foul to someone.
Sometimes you dream big and sometimes you dream small. Love that one, Felipe. That we can do that, Felipe. Awesome. We can get that done.
Oh, I'll let you know.
I don't know how the YMCA is going to feel when you tee up a 7-year-old.
And then you warn the coach, get back in the box.
Miller and Moulton. 21,000 is the text line, looking for the GOAT of all GOATs today on 1AB, one day after Brady. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. The Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
By the way, during that, I had someone call the hotline, and it was this dude, Mike from Bonita. He goes, "I'm about the same age as your co-hosts, and I agree with you, Philly, about your statement about Michael Jordan and LeBron."
I have to admit, I don't understand it, and I'm not being a jerk.
Okay.
I don't understand what your point.
Will you allow me to explain?
If you could do it in
I will
30
do it as-
seconds.
Yes, I'll do it as quickly as possible. I think that Michael Jordan had a more worldwide impact in terms of in an
Yes.
era before social media.
Yes,
He was kind of
totally.
like an image of America, and
Got it.
yeah, his
But
great.
you think LeBron's a better player?
Correct.
Okay. Philip Seymour Hoffman died on this day 9 years ago.
Me and 3 guys.
46. God, he'd only be 55.
Don't do smack.
Yep.
I can just see Philly teeing up the 7-year-old and turning to the coach and yelling, "You want one?"
You want some of that?
And it's just the very subtle finger T and then the point.
God.
All right, we got a call that, just so you know, you're calling this guest.
I got you.
Oh my God.
What?
A New Jersey councilwoman was shot and killed. She was pulling up to her house last night. My goodness.
Damn.
Wow.
Saw a shadow.
Golly.
Did you see the Jeter story about the golden thong?
No.
He was on Fallon, and they do a segment called True Confessions where he said, I once wore a thong in public in front of thousands of people. And he says, it's the truth. I'm going to regret playing this game, but let me explain. He was going through basically the longest slump of, in 2004, I went through the worst offensive stretch of my career. Every day I'd walk in and he'd point at the thong. Jeter was 0 for 32 before he caved. It was Giambi's thong.
That's fantastic.
That's really good.
Dalton's on hold.
You don't with a winning streak, but you do anything to break
Get
out
out
of
of
a slump. That's great. I will say, ever since getting let go from the Marlins, even though he doesn't have any hair, he has let his proverbial hair down. You know,
Paper City, remember when LeBron had to play against the 73-win team in the NBA Finals? I think he won that Finals. Could be wrong, though. Oh, yeah, he did. That's right. Came back from a 3-1 lead.
oh no, bang bang, you're dead there. Yeah. Oh no, we went through Russell's resume.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Dalton Miller, kind enough to join us on this Thursday at this time. He's the lead football analyst for ProFootballNetwork.com, ProFootballNetwork.com. You can follow that on Twitter at PFN365. You can follow Dalton on Twitter at Dalton B. Miller, Dalton, the letter B. Miller. Dalton, it's David and Mark. Thanks for doing this again. How are you?
David, Mark, I am doing fantastic. How are you guys?
Well, we are fine. It is 1AB, one day after Brady. You did the deep dive into the numbers. Man, that must have took a while because he's got numbers.
Yes, he definitely has some numbers. And it's funny. I did that. I actually originally wrote that piece on February 1st of 2022. And then on February 1st, 2023, we got to go back in and look at the numbers again and update all of the numbers for that piece. So it was a lot of fun going back through it and see what Tom, was even able to accomplish this year in what was definitely a down year and a year where we kind of saw his skill set start to diminish.
When you go through the numbers, was there, obviously the Super Bowls we know, but some of the passing numbers, is there any of them that just stopped you in your tracks? Was there one set of numbers that you just were miffed by?
It's so tough because it's really all of them. When you are as good as he has been throughout the course of his career, I think a lot of the records that he has broken are going to remain unbroken throughout a course of a career. But I think if there's anything that you can sit and you can look at and say, like, that is definitely not going to be broken, it's got to be all of his passing numbers in the playoffs, just because I don't think we'll see somebody who can consistently get to that AFC championship game year in and year out like he was able to do with the New England Patriots. And then, obviously all the Super Bowls that he has played in on top of, the many, many that he won. So I just think that his playoff numbers are some of the more untouchable records in professional sports.
Talking with Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network, ProFootballNetwork.com. Follow Dalton on Twitter, Dalton B. Miller, Dalton, the letter B, Miller. If you were advising Tom, do you think people want him to go to the booth? Do you think, because it's funny, there are some people who have Brady fatigue, Dalton. That's what we found out yesterday, that there are some people that are like, listen, love him, admire him, the whole deal. It'll be nice to have a year without Tom Brady. Well, we may not have a year without Tom Brady. We may have a game without Tom Brady. I mean, if he takes that lead analyst at Fox gig, He's going to be arguably the number one voice in the sport. So just curious, do you think, if you were advising Brady, would you say, oh, yeah, man, do it? Or would you say, you know what, take a gap year?
Well, I mean, I definitely hope that he takes a gap year. I've become a huge fan of Greg Olson in that number one spot at Fox. And obviously, whenever Tom Brady, because of who Tom Brady is, it doesn't matter how good at the job or bad at the job he is. And with his drive, I can't imagine Tom Brady would be anything but stellar as an analyst. But I think if he's going to do anything, I hope that he takes an entire year off and just gets away from football, spends time with the family, does all that. And then he gets back into it. Maybe he gets that number one seat at Fox, when they give him that. Or if he comes in even next year and is, on one of the shows that, is sitting behind the desk, not at the games, doing pregame, postgame, halftime, stuff like that at Fox for a year. I more than anything don't want to see Greg Olson show so much promise and then just immediately get kicked out of that first seat because the greatest quarterback of all time is ready to start calling games.
Now, the one thing for Olson, he's got a clause in his contract, so if a number one spot opens anywhere else, he can jump, and it still won't be a bad gig making about $3 million a year to be the B guy on Fox, but I understand where you're coming from. What are you hearing on the coaching jobs in Arizona and Indianapolis? Is there anything going to break here soon?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I keep waiting for that Indy job to get going and for them to actually hire a coach. And then I see that somebody else is coming in for a second interview, and it just kind of continues to keep going. But, we're to the point of the cycle where things are going to start happening. I mean, obviously, some of the dominoes have already started to fall with the other jobs, the other three. But I'm just so interested in the Arizona job in particular, and with Brian Flores being one of the top candidates for that job, because a lot of the reasons he got booted out of Miami was because of his relationship with the quarterback. So he's going to go and he's going to be the head coach on a team with Kyler Murray as the quarterback. It doesn't make sense to me that would be, the place that Arizona goes to, unless they really want to say, hey, we are going to hold our players accountable in a way that doesn't really happen at the NFL level because these players make so much money, so much more money than the head coaches do. It would be really interesting to see Flores there, but I think that it would be a disastrous marriage between him and Kyler.
He obviously was a tremendous defensive coach and back-to-back winning seasons with the Dolphins. But, afterwards, Dalton, I mean, he really doesn't play well with others, or at least didn't. And, is a year enough time to all of a sudden to, lighten up, dude? You got to get along with your staff. You got to get along with your quarterback. I mean, it seems is a year enough time to learn that lesson for Brian Flores?
I really don't know. And I don't think so. There's something about, and it's, people say it all the time, and then people talk about the Bill Belichick tree all of the time. But there's so much truth to his guys going and trying to get head coaching jobs elsewhere and getting head coaching jobs elsewhere and trying to instill this Patriot way of things. And it just does not work out anywhere else other than New England. And it's just because Bill Belichick has been able to cultivate this relationship with players and with coaches and with the front office over 30 years. 40 years of coaching. And these guys are a lot of them are fresh, and they go in and they try to rule with an iron fist. They try to get control, roster control, just like Bill has in New England. And it backfires. We saw it with Bob. Bob was a good coach in Houston, and he just kept pressing for more and more responsibility and going out of his scope of what he is good at coaching. And then that team fell apart, and he ended up getting fired. You see guys, all the time go elsewhere, try to rule with an iron fist. The players do not vibe with it. And then they end up going back to New England or going to Alabama and revitalizing their career with either Nick Saban or Bill Belichick. And, it's not a bad place to be. But I think eventually these guys got to figure out and not just sit in those areas. Go get other jobs, find out how other head coaches do it, because you're not going to be able to go and replicate what Bill was able to do. And I think going to Pittsburgh is a really good spot For Brian Flores, is it going to be enough for a year under Mike Tomlin? I don't think so. Not with how unwell Brian Flores works with others. I don't think a year is going to get the job done, but you might be able to learn a lot from Mike Tomlin after a year, because he's one of those coaches that doesn't matter what team he is given, he's able to get the most out of those guys.
Dalton, you're a Cowboys guy. They made a big change. Kellen Moore out, and now McCarthy's going to call the plays. Your thoughts on the head coach calling plays in Dallas? Will it be something that helps them? They had the 4th scoring offense in the league last year. It didn't seem like that was where the change needed to be made, but they feel that's where it needs to be made.
Yeah, I think that there was more to it, and Albert Breer kind of spoke to it a little bit, I think, as well, that the relationship between Kellen Moore and Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott, there was, problems, within those three. And when there's issues with those three, obviously the offensive coordinator is going to be the one to go. The head coach is going to try to do whatever he can to save his job. And is his job on the line? No. And should it be on the line? No. They were a 12-5 team this year. They didn't have Dak for 5 games. And I think they really kind of overachieved at the end of the day. I think that there were things that Kellen Moore could do better, but I think more than anything, it was that Kellen Moore was not Mike McCarthy's guy. He was already there when Mike got there. They were trying to groom Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator there. And I think at the end of the day, Mike McCarthy just thinks that he can do a better job calling the plays than Kellen Moore could. So he's going to bring in one of his guys as the offensive coordinator. He's going to call the plays. And is it going to go well? Probably not. But that's what a job, or what a guy that is trying to save his job and has experience as a play caller is going to do. Now, hopefully that year, looking at PFF grades and all that stuff in the barn really helped out his offense, but I have my reservations.
Eagles, Chiefs in the Super Bowl, the 2-1 seeds. When you look at these two teams and how they are positioned, do you think their window is still wide open in Kansas City and in Philadelphia? Because, I keep looking at Kelsey, and I know Mahomes is amazing, but he needs a beast as a weapon. And he used to have Kelsey and Hill, and now he's got Kelsey. And Kelsey's now, 33? I'm trying to figure out, they're probably going to lose one of their 2 stud defensive linemen because of the cap. I guess I'm wondering, when you have Mahomes, you'll always have a puncher's chance. But this championship window for Kansas City, how open do you believe it is?
Yeah, with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, that combination, I think you always are going to have a puncher's chance no matter what you really put on the field. I think Andy Reid is the best offensive mind in the NFL, and I actually don't think it's particularly close. Getting another weapon in through the draft, through trade, however you end up doing it, through free agency eventually, they're going to need somebody, because you're right, Travis Kelce is not going to last forever. You're not going to be able to give him 150 targets a year for very much longer. So you're going to need to find something in Kansas City. I think that Philadelphia's window is wide open as long as they can keep a pretty good coaching staff together, and they're probably going to lose Jonathan Gannon and Steve Steichen at some point. But I think with the way that Howie works things, they can blow it up and build it back together in a 5-year span anyways. That defense is going to practically fall apart after this year, because they are all free agents pretty much, but I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be able to rebuild that defense. It's something that comes and goes anyways from year to year. And that entire offense is going to be sticking around, and I don't see it getting much worse as Jalen Hurts continues to get better as a passer. So that'll be interesting to watch. I think Philadelphia, just because of the way that the NFC East works, probably not going to win it next year, because no NFC East team has repeated since 2004. But I think they're going to continue to be one of the better teams in the NFC over the next couple of years. The AFC is tough with the Chiefs, man, because there are all of the great quarterbacks in the NFL right now are in the AFC. And, the Chargers have been a pretender for a really long time. A lot of fun, but not a ton of substance. And they're going to get a lot better with Kellen Moore as an offensive coordinator, because it just couldn't get any worse than what it was with Joe Lombardi.
Yeah, we were pointing that out, Dalton, earlier in the show with Brady retiring, and if Rodgers is dealt to the AFC, or if he retires, that the preponderance of quarterbacks in one conference to the other may be the biggest, really since before the merger. He's Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network, profootballnetwork.com. You can follow Dalton on Twitter, Dalton B. Miller, Dalton the letter B. Miller. Dalton, thanks so much for doing this. We really appreciate it. Safe travels around the country. Hopefully we can talk between now and when free agency starts.
Absolutely. Anytime. Thank you, guys.
Dalton Miller, profootballnetwork.com. PFN 365 on Twitter. A lot of great information from that site.
Boy, that's an interesting comment, though, on the Eagles. With no one since 04 repeating that. Because as you look at the NFC, you obviously have San Francisco. We don't know what we have in the North going forward. We really don't, because of the uncertainty on Rodgers and the way Cousins plays in the postseason. The South's a mess.
Yes.
But the difference between the 1 seed and the 5 seed.
Well, it was 2 games in the standings. But you could look at it, the Eagles are in a better cap situation than the Cowboys, and obviously their roster's better. The one thing I am curious about, though, Jason Kelce nearly retired after last year. I mean, in fact, heading into that first-round playoff game against the Bucs last year, the feeling was he was walking. Obviously, he came back. He was tremendous. He's the best center in the game. I think he's the best center of the last 30 years. And I know they've got, 3 of the other 4 positions, they've got tremendous players at. But if Jason Kelce was seriously considering about retiring a year ago, and they're in the Super Bowl now, and what if they win it for a second time? I mean, do you keep playing? And Mark, if he leaves, things change in Philadelphia.
There's no doubt. Obviously calls all the offensive line, runs the offensive line, and it's a great line. But when you lose the catalyst, you obviously take a step back. There is no doubt there. Miller and Moulton. Text the show. 21,000 is the number. Love to hear your thoughts today on the GOAT of all GOATs. Back with more right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. The party's not here. You're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Who was it? It was Deadstruck. Yeah, he was the wheel. Look, and I'm not even saying this to be biased, but when he was on the Miami Heat, it doesn't get more perfect than that kind of player.
How about that? No, Greg, Flores needs that. Flores needs that because his reputation is, first off, and also he did not get along with his staff. He went through assistant coaches in Miami like chiclets.
Oh, Adam. Couldn't get the job done with Booby Gibson and Larry Hughes.
It's all right. We got this text earlier. Jordan on this list is absurd. He was the greatest players of the 90s. End of story. Didn't win anything till his 8th year in the league when all of his contemporaries were done winning. Advertising and PR can distort reality.
Okay.
Hi, Roy.
Hey, guys. How we doing?
Doing great. Yourself?
Doing well, thanks. Bucks never disappoint in terms of making news.
No.
Hey, he had a nice 3-year run there.
Yeah, they did.
I meant you. Okay. You needed a change too after being on that beat for as long as you were on it. Come on.
That's true.
Needed some winning.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
I think Bruce was in Tampa last night because he's in Florida. I know he's playing Tampa Friday and Orlando Sunday.
Oh, Springsteen?
But I think he started his tour last night in Florida because John Forsland was at the concert. He was sending out pictures.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was in Tampa, but
I don't know if well, I know a bunch of friends who wanted to go to the concert, but
yeah, I'm going Sunday.
Orlando?
Yeah, so I'll be sleep deprived Monday, but I'll be fired up.
I don't think so because he's in Atlanta tomorrow. Well, maybe he was Tampa last night.
So he was Tampa last night, then Atlanta, then
was
Orlando.
Tampa last night?
I couldn't tell you because it doesn't. I don't have any past dates.
Gotcha. That's funny. Okay, music.
Yep, they were in Tampa last night.
You are listening listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Roy Cummings, kind enough to join us. He joins us Thursdays at 8 o'clock throughout the season. We had basically said goodbye to Roy, and then the Bucs, well, they just can't stop making news. So we keep bringing Roy back. R. Cummings, FHCN on Twitter, Bay News 9, pewterpirates.com. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Don't you guys know that, first of all, the NFL season never ends, and certainly the Bucs never stop making news in one way or another. So we could do this every Thursday all year.
Well, that is true. We're trying to give you a break, to be honest with you. You know, you need a break from us.
No,
we're a handful.
No, I love it. Love being a part of it.
So, in all honesty, you've been a beat writer, Lightning, Bucs, for, quarter century or more. At these last 3 years, this had to be, I don't know, fun, a thrill, because you got to cover a team that was relevant, and also you knew from day one, wow, I get to cover one of the greatest sports icons of all time. This is not a bad way to go to work.
No, it's not. Look, I've been very fortunate in my career. I mean, I covered the Lightning from the moment that Phil Esposito came to town saying he was going to bring a team here through the first 10 years on the ice. That was an absolute thrill. Arguably, I think it was the best time of my sports writing career. And covering the Bucs, I mean, I was there for, the glory days. I was there with Tony Dungy and John Lynch and Derek Brooks, Warren Sapp, Rondé Barber, who's going to end up in the Hall of Fame here probably this year, I think. And the Brady thing was, it was special. I mean, you knew that. I mean, they were going for it. They were going for the Super Bowl, and you just kind of had a feeling that when Brady came and Gronk came, it was going to happen, and it did. And obviously, those things are difficult to sustain. But anytime you get a chance to, be around a player of Brady's caliber, one of the greatest of all time, it's a thrill. I mean, when the whole sports world is focused on you, that's special. And so that's certainly one of the more thrilling times of a career to be involved in that.
And now the transition comes. No Brady, a new offensive coordinator, a lot of change. This is going to be a very important offseason for the Bucs because at the end of the day, Roy, they're in a bad division that someone has to win, and they've got to figure out a way to retool this on the fly.
Yeah, they do, and they've got a lot of decisions to make, really. I mean, at this point, you could make the argument, just blow it up and start all over again. I mean, you've already moved on from Byron Leftwich as your offensive coordinator. Now you've lost the real offensive coordinator, which is Tom Brady. I mean, let's face it, he was calling the plays and running what he wanted to run. You have some strengths, at the wide receiver position, but your offensive line needs to be retooled. Your running game probably needs to be reworked. You've got a lot of things you got to redo. The defense is strong, but at the end of the day, do you really see Todd Bowles carrying this team back to the Super Bowl? I don't, and that's not a shot at Todd Bowles. I think he's an exceptional defensive coordinator, a great defensive mind. But Monty Kiffin was a great defensive mind, and I don't think he's a head coach. And so I think Todd Bowles falls into that category. So I think the Bucs have a lot of difficult decisions to make. I don't think it's as simple as, okay, well, let's go get Derek Carr or some other quarterback who seems capable and plug him in, even if he's mobile, because I don't think that's going to be enough. Again, this team was 8-9. It wasn't just because they couldn't protect the quarterback very well.
Talking with Roy Cummings, Bay News 9, pewterpirates.com. Follow him on Twitter, R. Cummings, FHCN. Are they going to go back to Dirk Cutter, who, by the way, did a tremendous job at Georgia? And I don't just mean because they won, it's easy to say. I mean, he just last year to the year before, even Georgia's offense, the strength of it, he changed it dramatically. I mean, I'm going to give Dirk Cutter as much credit with Spencer Bennett as I am. I keep saying Dirk Cutter. I'm getting I'm sorry, Todd Moncton.
My bad.
Is he going to come back? Okay. and be offensive coordinator again?
I don't think so. I don't think Todd Monken is going to be better off in Tampa. I think you're better off with what you've got where he is. Look at Georgia, he's doing a great job, and they're still recruiting very well. I've always thought Todd Monken was more of a college guy anyway. I mean, yes, he came to the NFL, smart guy, learned a lot from him, really smart guy. But I just think some people are, much as I do believe that some guys are coordinators rather than head coaches, I think some guys are college coaches and coordinators rather than NFL coordinators and coaches. I think Todd Monken is a college guy. I think he's more comfortable there. And I wouldn't leave Georgia for Tampa Bay. I don't think that's good enough. If I was New England or the job was in New England or San Francisco or something like that, I would consider that. But I'm not leaving Georgia where they are now to come to Tampa Bay. So, no, I think Todd Monken stays. I think it was a courtesy interview to kind of kick the tires and say, okay, well, where are you? You've had some success. Do you want to try this again? But I think to me, it's a lateral move, to be honest.
Will they go? Do you think it'll be an existing offensive coordinator, or do you think they're going to give someone a first-time crack at this then?
I think they're probably going to end up having to give somebody a first-time crack at it because it's not a very attractive job, guys. Let's face it. There were 11 offensive coordinator positions open throughout the offseason so far. Of the 11, I think the only one worse than Tampa Bay was Houston, which is just a graveyard for coaches of all kinds. I kind of feel bad for DeMeco Ryans going there. I personally, I think DeMeco Ryans is worthy of a much better job. I hope he does a great job there, but I doubt that'll happen. It just seems the culture is a mess there. But other than Houston, I don't think there's a worse offensive coordinator position than the Bucs right now, simply because what have you got? You don't know where you're headed. Now, the Bucs can say all they want about trying to go out and get, a quarterback, but that's, again, as I just pointed out earlier at the beginning of the segment, that's not enough. You got to retool this offensive line. I mean, okay, Ryan Jensen coming back after missing most of a year. Do you think that's really going to, plug up the center hole? I don't. You've got some young kids that you believe in, but I still think there's a lot of work to be done there. You really have two receivers. Are you going to continue with Julio Jones? If he's working with Tom Brady, he's a weapon. If not, probably not. What are you going to do with the running game? A lot to be done. So I think their best bet, if they could find a coordinator willing to come in, sure. But I think they're going to end up finding a quarterback's coach or a receivers coach somewhere who's somewhat worthy of an upgrade.
Can they even afford to go get an outside quarterback, or are they going to have to turn this over to either Blaine Gabbert or Kyle Trask because they're $50 million over the cap? We're talking about all the holes they have to fill. Well, they got to create more holes, a lot of them, before they start filling their current holes. I mean, are they almost forced to do what Seattle did with Geno and just say, listen, we don't know if you're a starting quarterback, but we don't have another option. We're going to give you a shot.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where they're at. I don't know that Blaine Gabbert stays around simply because he was a system guy in Bruce Arians' system, in Byron Leftwich's system. I don't think he fits. Whoever the new coordinator is probably would make that call. But yeah, I think, look, I don't think Kyle Trask is the answer. And I'm not basing that on the fact that Kyle Trask has not looked exceptionally well throwing 17 NFL passes. I didn't think he was that great of an option coming out of college. But I think you're right. I think, I think there's a quarterback out there who's had a shot, failed, and is cheap that you've got to look at. You got to look at a handful of those guys and say, okay, which one of these guys works? Because, again, you don't have the money. And look, they have restructured contracts already and put the money going forward. This may be a 3-year, resurrection here. It may take a while for this to get resolved the way they've built these contracts to bring everybody in. When you pay for guys like Brady and Gronk and some of the others that they've brought in, the bill comes due at some point, and now it's due, and it's going to continue to come due over the next 2-3 years. So you may be looking at a very lean 2, 3, 4 years here into 2027, maybe.
So you really think the teardown basically is because of necessity, almost anything between the cap and the players that they're at, that it really, the best plan going forward is to rip this down. It's tough to do, Roy, because a lot of teams try that and they never come back.
Yeah, no, you're right. But look, the Bucs, I don't want to say they don't care, but because they do care. But look at their model under the kids, and by the kids I mean the Glazer boys and Darcy Glazer. Dad understood that the best way to go, and I mean there's several ways to go, but Rich McKay explained to Malcolm Glazer way back in the day, there's two ways to go. You can either build a team that's competitive consistently, and when you get your shot and the breaks go your way, you win a Super Bowl, or you can do what the kids have done, which is basically be a bad team or a mediocre team at best for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And then every once in a while, when the opportunity comes, you go and you buy yourself a coach, buy yourself a quarterback, however it is. They did it with Gruden. They did it with Brady. That's what the kids have done, is they've gone out in essence, bought themselves the Super Bowl. They never built a Super Bowl team. They bought a Super Bowl team. And, you can purchase it with draft picks that you trade away or with money. There's a couple ways to do it, but that's the way to do it. And that's what they do. So do they mind that they're going to have 2, 3, 4, 5 years of real lean seasons? Yes, they don't want it, but they understand that this is kind of their model, and they'll wait for the next big opportunity. So, yeah, I think it's not going to look like a teardown. I'll be surprised if they really tear it down, but if you look kind of beneath the surface, it's going to be a teardown. And that's why Todd Bowles sticks around. Why not? Give him a shot. Give him a couple of years. See if he really is a head coach. What have you got to lose? You're not going to win anyway. And it's already started. You were 8-9 with Tom Brady and a really good receiving core and a pretty good running attack that just couldn't get on track and a good defense. So you're not going to be much better. You've got a defense that's strong. Build off of that. See if you can find a quarterback, win a couple of games. And when the opportunity comes, you go and spend the money again. But it's going to be 3-4 years before it happens.
Bucs needing an offensive coordinator, needing a quarterback, and needing to find $50 million in cap savings. What an offseason it's going to be. Roy Cummings, Bay News 9, PewterPirates.com. Follow him on Twitter, rCummings, FHCN. Roy, as always, thanks so much. I promise you'll get next week off.
Okay, well, depends on what happens with the boys here. Let's see.
I shouldn't have said.
We make no promises.
Yeah, right. They could have a new quarterback named Favre next week. Who knows? Or Rodgers.
Roy Cummings, thanks so much for joining Miller and Moulton again on this Thursday. Mark, he's right. I shouldn't be making promises like that. It's the National Football League after all. Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us. Where else but the Florida Sports Network?
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Adam, I am going to watch the Pamela Anderson documentary. I don't know if I'll do it this weekend. I got my mom in town, and
you're partying this weekend.
And, granddaughter's birthday celebration Saturday and doing something Sunday. But I'm all over the Pamela Anderson documentary. KW, I totally disagree with you. I don't think it matters how you win a title. Yeah, as a fan, it's nice to knock, and finally, bang the door down. But, I'll take a title that comes out of nowhere too. Look at where Johnny's coming from. Remember, the Bucs were the losingest franchise in North American sports 3 years ago. Do you really want to subject that fan base? They've just made the playoffs 3 years in a row, something they've never done in their franchise's history. Although, actually, they might have made it 4 years in a row, 99 through 02. But what would you do if you're the Bucs? Tear it down, or hell, this division sucks. If we make the right moves, we could win this sucker at 9-8 next year. I would tear it down. Mark, you can win that division. Okay.
I couldn't tear it down because of that reason. I can still win that division. I know they're playing a first place schedule, but their Wirfs is going to be healthy. Jensen's going to be healthy. They've got to get a new left tackle because he can't play anymore. I get it. Maybe Wirfs goes to that side. I don't know.
I like that. I would flip the tackles. You need a new group of running backs. Keep Rashad and
yes,
bring in. I'll say this, I would look into they have a good defense, but they don't have a great defense. They don't have a pass rush. And if they get Shaq, back, is that enough? I see, I would be more likely to trade Mike Evans, trade not Levante David because he's near the end, but Devin White. I would really, restock with draft capital here. I would, and take my financial hit this year. I think next year's Mike Evans' 10th year in the league.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. I know this isn't the sexiest question. It's not, Brady, Gretzky, or Jordan, who's the greatest of the GOATs, and, who's your GOAT of GOATs, which, we've asked and people have texted in answers and what have you. But I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm going to give you two choices. Tampa Bay Bucks, retool it on the fly. It's going to be a tough retool this offseason. You're $50 million over the cap. You have the second worst cap situation in the league, but you are in the worst division in the league, and it ain't close. I mean, we just saw 8 wins could won the division, 9 could win it next year. Do you retool or do you blow it up?
I would retool. And I understand the case for blowing it up, and it makes sense. The only problem I have with doing it, David, is that what you just spoke of. This is a bad division. I can still win this division. You've got Jensen coming back. Maybe you move Wirfs to the left side. Maybe you just switch the tackles. I don't know if that would get it done, but obviously the left tackle can't play anymore. Not there.
Not there. I agree.
Now they've got a first place schedule, which is difficult. I mean, it is the one difference in the NFL scheduling, that they'll play a little bit tougher schedule than the rest of their divisional opponents. But the division's so bad that I'm going to try to win it one more time and see where I go from there.
And right now, also, there does not look to be, of the other 3 teams, you're looking at Atlanta, Carolina, New Orleans. I mean, which one are you willing to go, I think they're going to be good next year? They look like a 10-win team to me. I mean, none of them. Now, obviously, the odds are one of them will be, but right now you can't point who that team is.
David, there will not be one team in that division with an over-under win total that's greater than 8.5.
Correct. In fact, I think it's possible that every over-under is 7.5 or below.
No arguments from this side.
I would blow it up, for the record, because unless you are going to do this as well as the Eagles and Howie Roseman have done it in the last 24 months, the Eagles did it on the fly, one down year, 6-10, and then 9-8, and now in the Super Bowl. But what did they do? They found their quarterback in the second round. So they could retool, and they unloaded their big money quarterback. They took the big hit. They unloaded. And so now their quarterback room's costing them nothing. That helps. And I think also that if you're Tampa, that's what you got to do. I would suck this year if I was Tampa.
So you'd be moving Evans.
I would. He's
right away.
And listen, my love
for
Mike Evans.
That's their best asset that they have going forward right now.
Yes, he's played 10 years in the league already. He'll be 30 when he plays next year. Yes, I would trade Mike Evans. Come on, I'm getting a number one. Like, the Ravens wouldn't give me a first-round pick for Mike Evans. I mean, think of the teams that need a wide receiver or need a number one wide receiver. I mean, I'm getting a first-round pick for Mike Evans. I have no doubt I can get it first, even for a 30-year-old Mike Evans. Listen, I'm thinking seriously, what am I doing with Devin White? He's entering the final year of his rookie deal. Now, he's 25, but what am I going to do? It's kind of like the Bears' decision with Roquan Smith. They said, well, he's a really good player, but I don't know if I want to give him. Also, Mark, what did we just see? It came out on Monday that the cap hit, a franchise tag for a linebacker, is the second highest cap hit in the game. Doesn't matter if you're an outside linebacker rushes the passer or whether you're an inside linebacker. I mean, you can't franchise tag Devin White. That's $20 million.
That you don't have. I mean, now, you could find it, but it's when you're trying to create cap space, right? You don't want to go from 50 to 70 and have to cut another bunch of players, because to keep them, it's 2 or 3 players that are going to go.
But you saw Baltimore look at Roquan Smith from Chicago and say, we'll give you a terrific draft pick and we'll pay that man. Well, there's got to be one of the other 30 teams that is looking at Devin White going, seriously? You're going to put Devin White on the market? Yeah, absolutely. What do you want? We'll pay it, and we'll pay him, no doubt. And if I'm Tampa, I think I got to seriously consider it. If I'm blowing it up, which is what I would do. They don't have a pass rusher. Evans is entering his 11th season. All right. We don't have a quarterback. I got to replace half my offensive line. I have one running back I'm keeping moving forward. And I got one tight end who looks promising. I think you got to remember, Brady pulled victory from the jaws of defeat 4 times in the final minute of games. They went 8-9. They could have gone 4-13 really easily. I don't think they're a good team at all. I'd blow it up.
Interesting what Roy said about the Glazers. When he was talking about Malcolm Glazer versus the kids running it now, that's the second generation. That's the rich kids. Malcolm built, made all his money, wanted to do it a certain way. Well, the kids, what were they used to? The shiny new toy. And that's their philosophy going forward.
What are they asking for the soccer franchise? Isn't it $7 billion? 7. I don't know. How about this? Can you, if you're the Bucs, afford to take my approach? Because, forgotten in the last 3 years is this was the losingest team in North American sports in the first 44 years of their existence. And Mark, it's not like it was hard to get a ticket to a Bucs game. There were 20,000 empty seats for a few years in Tampa.
And they immediately went to the hardest ticket to get in the aftermarket with Tom Brady there this year and throughout the 3 years.
And so, and this is your world more than mine. You've had to sell tickets and sponsorship and the whole deal. And, it's...
David, I'll be really honest with you in Tampa. This is the question I would ask for all the folks listening in the Tampa area. Whether they retool or blow it up. Are you all fired up for Bucs football next year without Tom Brady? Because you weren't fired up for it before Tom Brady.
Correct.
It was an abyss. They went through a 20-year wait for season tickets in what seemed to be overnight. And I would imagine that their season ticket sales are going to plummet, obviously, with yesterday's news.
And I know that this week I've, gotten Gabbert and Bortles confused. My Jags quarterbacks confused. I've gotten Dirk Cutter and Todd Monken confused. All right. But I don't think I'm going to get this guy confused. I mean, if they're seriously considering bringing Todd Monken back as offensive coordinator, when Roy was describing a quarterback, and if he thinks that Gabbert's leaving and Trask ain't the answer, and who it is, cheap, who has started before, that maybe they could give an opportunity. I mean, they wouldn't call Jameis, would they?
Oh, boy.
Well, think about it, though. They need a starting quarterback. They need him on the cheap. All right? They need somebody who's actually shown something. Listen, of all the retreads, and that's what Jameis is now, okay, you're going to go what? Minshew, Jameis, Mike White, that category of quarterbacks. I mean, basically the Geno Smith category. I mean, is he not at the top of that category?
He couldn't start New Orleans. How's he a retread? He couldn't even get the job in New Orleans.
Well, but he would have if Sean Payton stayed. He couldn't get the job for Dennis Allen.
You can always come home, David. It's just whether or not he can still go to Publix.
I think the statute of limitations have run out.
Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN play of the day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the play of the day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka play of the day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again. Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Was that on this day type deal?
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Was that like in your phone on this day type deal?
I happened to was looking for a photo, and I'm like, and I just started deleting a couple during that last break, and that one popped up. So I was like, I just thought I'd send it.
I'm trying to figure out. Was that like at the casino?
Yes.
When we went to see
It's George Clinton.
Yeah.
What's funny is it even tells me on the phone. It was like the time where Seminole Casino in Immokalee, July 21st, 2012.
Oh, not much has changed since then.
We're just making less money. But you know,
KD hit up Brianna's store a week ago, telling her to come to the Liberty. That's pretty cool. By the way, so you guys heard that Netflix thing that's going on right now, right? About the passwords?
Yes.
About how you're not allowed to share your password.
Right.
Netflix tweeted in 2017, love is sharing your password. And Twitter is having a field day with that tweet, which I still don't think they have deleted.
Oh, I mean, that's when they were rolling it. So. Listen, I think it's been proven over time. If you give it away for free, okay, it's tough to then make people pay for it. It's why you don't give it away for free.
And again, they're making it more expensive also.
Yeah, well,
So more
I pay $15 a month for Netflix.
more expensive and less accessible. Is that really a compelling product?
Yeah.
People will still buy it. That's the thing. I don't know. I pay for a website.
Oh, I don't know.
It's getting white walls.
I'll have to get back to you.
I don't know.
Me and my buddy, we have our ways.
It's very true. The library has a lot more than people ever realize.
Yep.
Man.
Anybody in the Twitch chat room want to buy a house today? Just checking. Okay. We're good.
Is that guy still kicking the tires?
I got a couple.
Since the hurricane, prices go down or no?
15 seconds.
They've leveled off, but they haven't gone down.
Interesting, because I always wondered, like, the timing of our house. If we had sold it after the hurricane, would we have gotten what we got?
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes until the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. If you missed Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network, an hour ago, if you missed Roy Cummings earlier this hour, well, download our podcast, floridasportsnetwork.com. Felipe is usually pretty good about, posting them and, pretty quickly. Some days, I don't know, there's a nap. I don't know. There's a game to be played or something, but most days he's pretty good.
I try.
Yeah, and we want you to keep trying. It's important to us. It is. So, Mark, how you holding up 1AB?
I'm making it. It's tough. I mean, we all knew this day would come. I prepared for it.
Were you prepared though? Like, did you think he was retiring?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I'm surprised that he said basically that it was Tampa or retirement.
Yes. I thought it was Miami or retirement.
And it may have been. But I don't think he wanted a new OC and a new offense and all the things that come with that.
I also think he looked at Tampa and said, I don't know if we can win. Just things seem to be getting worse. It does make you realize how close they were a year ago. I mean, remember, they lost late. Last act as defensive coordinator was the all-out blitz on 3rd and long, and Kupp beat them down the middle of the field in the big pass play, and the Rams kicked the field goal and won. I mean, Bucs lost on a late field goal to the team that ended up winning the Super Bowl. I mean, Bucs would have hosted the Niners in the NFC Championship game last year. I mean, do they go back-to-back?
Speaking of the Rams, we keep talking about these NFC quarterbacks. The one guy that we really forget to mention is Matthew Stafford.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Out of sight, out of mind. Happens quickly, doesn't it?
It really does. I mean, we've gone through all this NFC quarterback stuff, and for 2 days, we've not even mentioned his name.
So is he the best quarterback in the NFC? At the beginning of next year, assuming he's healthy, if you could pick for one season, all the quarterbacks are healthy that are currently in the NFC, with the exception of Aaron Rodgers, we're moving him to the AFC in a trade, or he's going to retire. We think he's moving to the AFC. Cousins, Hurts, Stafford, Dak,
Brock Purdy.
Remember, I said healthy. That's why also Kyler Murray's not an option. He ain't going to be healthy at the start of the year, if at any point during the year. I don't know how much I play him next year, to be honest, if I'm Arizona. Because his legs are a big part of his game. So I'm not rushing him back. I don't want him on the field at 80%, to be honest. And I don't mind losing for another year. So what? We need draft picks. Our cap situation's a mess. Our roster's a mess. I could, what are we picking? Third this year? I wouldn't mind picking top 3 again next year.
The best quarterback in the NFC is Aaron Rodgers.
Right, but we think he'll be in the AFC.
And we said that. Once again, got to pay attention.
Where does Fields rank in that list?
Well, right now he's a prospect. Now, a year from now, that's why we said if the NFC from a quarterback standpoint is as wide open as we believe it is, could Chicago catch lightning in a bottle here? They got $100+ million. Now, it's a cheap organization. They don't normally spend it, but they got over $100 million that they can spend. Goodness knows they've got draft capital, and they could get a lot more if they trade that first pick for somebody who desperately wants to take a quarterback.
And they want to, because they did trade their second rounder to get Claypool at the trade deadline. So they don't have a second rounder, which is a damn good pick. It's pick 32 for crying out loud.
And they've got a quarterback that if Justin Fields makes the jump from year 2 to year 3 that Jalen Hurts just made from year 2 to year 3. Now, he's going to need a lot better coaching than what he's getting.
And a far better offensive line than what he has.
Right. But if he makes the jump that Hurts has made, and that division, the Vikings overachieved, the Packers are in transition, and let's face it, nobody's going to trust the Lions until they do what the Bengals have just done, which is, okay, you're no longer the Bungles. Got it. So, that's the team in which, if this new GM and coach could have a 12-month period of time like the Eagles GM and coach just had, are the Bears the sleeper in which, they could get good quickly.
They had that little run there. They're losing games, but all of a sudden they started scoring.
Right.
This year, where they had that, I think it was like 4 or 5 games. They scored right around 30 points or over 30 points.
Yeah,
that was they didn't win They didn't win a whole lot of those games, obviously, because they're picking first.
Right. In fact, yeah. They only won the Patriots game, but you're right. They had a 5-game stretch there where they averaged 30 points a game. They went 1-4. So that's all. But do you want to? Do you want to go about things that way? Are you trying to catch, lightning in a bottle type deal? But
it's not lightning in a bottle so much if you're right on Fields. If Fields is the guy, it's not lightning in a bottle. You've got your quarterback.
Agreed.
You brought up Hurts year 2 to year 3, Josh Allen year 2 to year 3. There's a bunch of quarterbacks. We could go down the list of when they made that jump.
By the way, Mark, do you know what Josh Allen year 2 to year 3 and Hurts year 2 to year 3 have in common?
Yes, a number 1 receiver.
Oh, yes!
I've got a winner with that one, David.
Double showcase winner right there. And
Speaking of which, when did the Price is Right at night start? Some of my TV was on CBS, and Drew Carey popped on last night doing the Price is Right.
I just wish he'd shave.
Me too.
Wow, it's not a good look, dude. But both teams had to acquire those number 1 wide receivers. Oh, by the way, gave up first-round picks to acquire those. We were talking about blowing up the Tampa Bay Bucks. Now, obviously, you're not going to get the Bears' first-round pick this year. Okay, but if you're Tampa and you called the Bears and you said, hey, I'll give you Mike Evans. Give me your 2024 first-round pick. Would you do it? If you're the Bears, He'll be 30 when he plays this season. The Bucs got his 20s. They got him at 21, and he played through 29. The Bucs got his 20s. Okay.
And Buck fan, would you make that deal?
Or if you're a Bears fan, you're like, just a little older than I wish he'd be. Wish you would have dangled that in front of me a couple years ago.
I just don't know if they're close enough to make a move like that. Like Baltimore makes a ton of sense.
Right. How about Dallas? Plays college ball at A&M. All right. You look at Dallas, clearly it was obvious. It was obvious against the good teams. They didn't have enough weaponry because he can't play anymore, and they only had one receiver you could count on. Dalton Schultz, by the way, is a free agent. And if you tag him again, it'll cost you $14 million. So, I mean, if you're the Cowboys and Tampa Bay calls you up and says, give me the 26th pick of the draft, we'll give you Mike Evans. First off, if you're Tampa, would you do it? If you're blowing it up, would you pick up the phone and make that offer? I would. Right? If you're Dallas, would you say, oh, yeah, I'm doing that?
I can't imagine what Ray J is going to look like if they blow it up. I'm not even kidding when I say that, because it's going to be tough to sell tickets regardless of what this team's going to look like. There won't be the faith in the Bucs, even though they won the division. There just won't. But if they blow it up, that place will be half empty all year long.
Few people in our Twitch chat room saying that Tampa's got to get more than the 26th pick. Yeah, he's 30. Remember, what did Tennessee get for A.J. Brown? They got a first-round pick in the 20s. I mean, trust me, the offer I made is a going rate offer. So you're basically saying, and that's fine if you're like, I ain't giving him up for just that. I need more than that. Okay, I don't think you can get it based on the recent deals that have been made, because the first digit in the age category turns to 3 next season.
So what do you really have him for? 3 seasons tops?
There you go. If you're Dallas, you're thinking, okay, 3-4 years here is what I'm going to get. He's a Hall of Famer. CD Lamb, Mike Evans, by the way. How about that little 1-2 combination? You're going to get somebody at pick 26 going to make a bigger contribution in the next 2 years than trading that pick for Mike Evans? Remember, Jerry ain't getting any younger. And the Eagles may just win their second Super Bowl in 6 years in the same division. All right? Mm-hmm.
How long since he's gotten out of the divisional round?
1995.
Okay.
Right. I mean, do you know how many hair pieces Jarrah's had since the last time? I mean, I don't even know if Jarrah was wearing fake hair the last time they made it to the NFC Championship game. It's close. I'm going to have to check the tape. But anyway, so just throwing that out there.
21,000 is the text line, 21000. Your thoughts, Bucs fan. Would you tear it down, or would you try to retool?
You got about 6 weeks. And actually, really, you got to start making up your mind before then. But, 6 weeks, it's official. Free agency starts, the new calendar year, the whole deal.
And by the way, fired a bunch of coaches. They got to bring people in. I mean, the whole thing is getting retooled right now.
Yep. And you're doing it with Todd Bowles as the head coach and Jason Light as the GM. And we could analyze Jason Light's record, and it depends on whether or not you're giving him the benefit of the doubt or you're giving Bruce Arians / Tom Brady the benefit of the doubt as to some of the personnel decisions.
And I think it's the Glazers that got Brady, not Light, if you know what I mean.
I think that Tom knocked on their door and they opened it and they went, "What are you doing here? Are you lost?" And he goes, No, I've just looked around and believe it or not, I want to come work for you. And they went, "I'm sorry, are you lost?"
I
No.
want you to move to Florida and get a divorce. Don't people
Right.
do that all the time?
I just said, okay, I'm in my 40s. I did the Northeast thing for 20 years. I'm moving to Florida. Okay, I want to come here. All right. Tough to get that lucky twice in 4 years. That's why I'd blow it up.
And I know people are talking about Godwin out there. He's coming off the knee. The assets you could get for Godwin are not that good right now because he's coming off an injury and was not as good coming off of the injury. It admitted that he wasn't as good.
Right. The people bringing up Shaq Barrett. He's coming off an Achilles injury for a pass rusher. It's kind of a big injury. Now, 100% Godwin, 100% Shaq Barrett. This could fall in line with what you're talking about. That's why I don't want to blow this up. I'm going to get Wirfs at 100%. I'm going to get Jensen at 100%. Half my secondary seemingly was on the injured list all year. I still got one more good year out of Levante David, I think. Vita Vea's still got more in him. I don't need to blow this up. Hell, I can win this division. If I can find the 2023 version of Geno Smith, we'll win this division going away.
Because what else is in the division doesn't look. They're all retooling and rebuilding as it is.
The team with the cap room in the division, though, is Atlanta. We talk about what could the Bears do. Well, Atlanta's got a boatload of money too. And if they hit it with that 3rd round draft pick at quarterback, like the Eagles hit it with a 2nd round draft pick at quarterback, Falcons could get good quickly too if their GM has a good month. Miller and Moulton. Hey, thanks for listening to us. 1AB on the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN